right, how was yesterday? I thought it was amazing. I just love this stuff. So we're around, you ready for day 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna do, there's a ton of stuff you get through. We have some really, there's like 4 speakers that I need to get you in front of. And then we also need to just go deeper into some of these things later in the afternoon. So it's my pleasure to, now, I can do that. Let me just preface this. So when I moved to Carson City 3.5 years ago, you know, I was just kind of, business-wise, I was just staying at pace with what I already had, managing an old portfolio that took up plenty of my time, and, you know, and I'm adjusting to a new area, and kind of went under a rock, quit really going out to speaking and doing a lot of traveling. Just wanted to reevaluate, you know, what do I want to be when I grow up? Am I still on target? What do I want to do, and why do I care? And why does it matter? So I really did nothing for, I don't know, a good 18 months for at least. And then I go, well, all right, I really like it. I'm feeling settled. I want to start playing in my backyard. Well, I don't know how to get started. I'm just kind of new, and, you know, I've only done the paper side. I haven't really done property. You know, actually the flipping the property and buying holds, I hadn't done a lot of that at all. And I go, well, how do I get started? So the first thing I did is I went to a little group that used to be Jack Miller people. Jack Miller, who knows who Jack Miller is? He was a pretty influential educator. I didn't personally know him, but a lot of people that I consider my mentors and peers and encouragers have been Jack Miller students. Walter, was Quincy too?
Hey, Maddie.
At the 14, I was on one of his groups.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so I went to a little luncheon that they were holding, and then one guy there says, you know, I need this little, I'm doing a project. Can you loan me $11,000? And I'm like, how much money can I make on $11,000 loan? Can I charge him $5,000 origination fee on $11,000 loan? You're not even $2,000. I go, tell you what, nothing. This is just a favor loan, because why? I want to just get started, and it was secured by a little mobile home in Reno. And I said, okay, I'll do the loan. Well, then Doug was involved in the closing, because you have to have a broker dealer involved in every closing. So he was going to do it kind of under the radar, and I said, nope. you're gonna make it so that I'm not getting in trouble doing this loan. I want everything above board, no regulatory licensing, whatever surprises. So then Doug is going, who the hell's making this loan on this crappy little mobile home? They must, someone's taking advantage of somebody for sure. So he calls me and said, so, are you making a loan on this thing? I'm supposed to close this deal. And I said, yeah, that's me. And then we talked for a while, and I go, I think I've actually heard of you before. And so we started talking. So because I met Doug, and Doug does some closings in mobile home parks, you know, around the whole state, right? You're in Vegas quite a bit also. He was doing a closing at a mobile home park in Carson City, talking to the manager, and the manager of that mobile home park had a note that she carried back on another unit in the park, and she wanted to sell it. It only had 15,000. She sold it for 42. Took pretty good, $7,000 down payment, 7-year amortization, and it only had, I think, about 50,000 left on the balance of the note. And I told her that I would give her 10. Am I making a killing there? Like, I did the favor loan. Basically, yeah, they're paying me some interest, but that's not a moneymaker. That's a relationship builder. Okay, I bought the note for 10. It seems like it did fine. You know, spent 10,000 to get 15,000 balance, but it's over 3 years. Am I going to pay a lot of bills just doing that deal? No, I wanted the relationship. Now I'm getting to start to play. First I made origination, made a loan. Then I was able to buy a discounted note on the secondary market. And because I met her, then she goes, I go, well, here's what, I really love to figure a way to start playing, but I really don't know what anything is really worth. I don't have any experience in this local market. I just dropped into town with the skill set that I had. So I have these skills, just dropped into this place. I wonder how I can play. And so she goes, well, I know someone right now. If you make them a cash offer, you can buy the mobile home, fix it, and carry paper on it. So, you know, loan, discounted note. Now I'm gonna buy a little mobile home. And I go, well, I don't even know what to offer for it. And I offered too much, but I still, right? I think I offered 11,000. I should have offered probably 9, but then it wouldn't have got done. We put, I think, 3 in it. I think I was up at, by the end of the day, I was in it for 15,000, and then I sold it for 20,000. So I didn't make a lot of money there, but I started something, right? I got paid to get this situation. So, and then because I did that, then the manager said, you know, I just got word on the grapevine that a mobile home park over here on South Lake Tahoe, they have to close it down because they finally got their financing and their entitlements. They're gonna scrap the mobile home park and they're gonna build these high-level resorts. The minimum condo buy-in price, I think, is $1.5 million to up to $5 million, right? So this kind of thing, but just way nicer and newer, just a little bit around the lake on the Nevada side. So she goes, I hear that they're giving mobile homes away for free if you'll just come get them. I go, I've never done anything like that. I just barely did my little mobile home flip, right? I'm like, whatever, okay, I'll just show up. So I called the developer, had a meeting with him. One thing led to the other. I had no idea what I was doing, absolutely no idea. But I would go, well, I kind of know some principles that I can work with, and I got lots of partners and friends in my life. And so all I did is take one step with no commitment and go, work it over in my mind, potentially could work, then I feel it out. Do I feel like taking the next step or not? Do I feel like moving forward? And so I would just, basically take a step, still have no idea what I'm doing, and take the next step. Still feels good. So long and short of it is I end up bringing, they pay me $1,000 per unit because that would cost them $3,500 each to demo them. So they paid me, so they saved themselves $2,500 each unit by paying me $1,000 to move them. But guess what moving costs are here? What do you think it costs to get even a single wide down from here just down to Carson? Is what, 30 miles?
15,000.
5,500, 4,000. Any other guesses?
15.
Huh?
15,000.
You know what? That's what I got quoted. I got quoted from the guys that were in the business already, 12 to 15,000. 12 was the lowest
For
on
single
a
wide.
single wide. Double wides were 15 to 60. Are you kidding me? That's worth way more than the. Then a new guy came in town and he said he wanted the business. Just got it. He's been working for another guy who wrapped down his operation. I guess he basically handed him the business, and they got licensed, and they were hungry. They just got their license. They wanted all my business, so they gave me a great deal. Then I was somewhere between, I think my cheapest single wide move was $7,800, and then my most expensive double wide was $1,100. I'm not 70. Did I say that right? 11,000. So it was basically 7,500 to 11,000 was my range. So that saved me 30% right there on the move, but that's still too much. Right? So then I had to make this whole deal. Well, how could it work? Well, the park doesn't have the money to do this project, or they would do it. They have 20 empty spaces. And with the hindsight, I go, there's a reason they have 20 empty spaces. Okay, but I'm thinking, hey, we need more affordable housing. They have empty spaces. They're going to demo these houses. I wonder if we could put something together. Like there again, I really have never done anything like this. This is the biggest sort of project that I've ever taken on to this point. It's that complex with so many moving parts. And I had even no idea because with manufactured housing here, they're just, oh my God, that's all I can say. Manufactured housing is like the Third Reich, it seems like to me. We're going to strip that out of the... Because the thing is, if you do one little deal here and there, you don't really pop up. But if you do a bunch of stuff, you get a target on your back and you get on the radar, and it's just easy to regulate you to death. For every single, there was all these things. I think for every mobile, we've had to have, 3 or 4 different inspections and permit processes and sign-offs, and it's just incredible what we had to go through to do this project. But so I got a good seminar, And I didn't make as, over the long haul, I'm not going to probably make as much as I thought, but I'm not losing money either, right? I built in some good pad there. But anyway, now this is a way of introducing Doug Smith, who is here. He's, and I don't know if I'll do a great job introducing you, but he's the reason part of the reason I had the courage to take on that deal, because he spent his time. He's a very busy guy. He's a mobile home broker, dealer, NMLS licensed guy, and that's only one of the things he does. Long-time investor in the mobile home space. I said, here's what I'm thinking of doing. And we've only talked a few times. We talked when he thought I was being taken advantage of doing that little crappy first loan. Then we talked a little bit, oh, thanks for introducing me to Doreen. I bought her little note, and here's what's happening. And then I said, Doug, I'm thinking of doing this thing. I'm scared to death. Would you come up here in Tahoe and look at these things with me and talk me through this thing? So he was kind of my, here's the way you think about these things. And he's part of the reason I had the courage to do the deal. And he's been a great mentor and friend. And he has so much to say about his experience. How many years you been doing?
13.
13 years, and he has a big corporate management kind of background too. So, multiple skill sets. So, with that address, and so the reason this picture is because when I brought those mobile homes down, that's when I ran into Jimmy. Some of you have heard that story, unfortunately. Yeah. He looked at that and he says, because I got myself into a deal, I just signed the paperwork and I just spent the money and I really don't know what I'm going to do next. And so I didn't even know I was looking for him, and he didn't know he was looking for me either, but when he saw those mobiles, he walked into about half of them and said, can't we just burn this one down? Do you have insurance? Can't we just burn this down? All right, please, it's my pleasure to welcome Doug Smith with Easy to Buy Homes.
Thank you. It's funny about these Lake Tahoe homes, and I don't want to discourage anybody from taking on projects like this, but I got a call the other day. It was a mobile home park. They wanted me to look at a home, and because there was an attorney involved. And I'm looking at this house, and what happened is the roof had been compromised because somebody had put in drywall, sheetrock. And I'm looking at this place, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, damn, this was one of those Tahoe homes. So there, and it was just crazy. I don't know if you remember, it was a yellow one. It was a really distinctive yellow, but oh my gosh. It's been a while since I've spoken publicly, so bear with me. Just to give you a little bit of an idea about my background, I am a mobile home dealer now, state of Nevada. I'm a licensed loan originator. When the SAFE Act came in, had to get the license. I'm an exempt mortgage broker, and I'm also a board certified housing evaluator, and I'm incredibly nervous right now, and I shouldn't be. I haven't spoken publicly in 7 years, and I swore when I retired I would never, ever, ever speak publicly again, but we got to help our friends. So help me through my nervousness, and we'll get this done. Take some deep breaths. Oh boy. I was going to speak at my own funeral, but So anyway, what I do is I conduct dealer and investor closings, loan originations throughout the entire state of Nevada. I have a retail brokerage in Reno, and soon Las Vegas. I'm working down there. I got into mobile home investing strictly by accident. I'd never even been in a mobile home before when I got involved. And so I want to kind of tell you about my journey and how this all came about. So I've been doing it for about 13 years. I've invested literally hundreds of homes. I typically hold 30 to 40 notes at any given time, and they all produce cash flow to me on a monthly basis. And the cash flow and returns on this investment provide simply mind-boggling returns. It's crazy. So my intent today is to give you a small presentation, try not to bore you, put you to sleep, and then we'll go into a question and answer period. So if you've ever wondered about mobile home investings, or if you have questions, this would be an opportunity for you. I also spent 38 years in the grocery industry with Raley's Supermarkets. I started as a delivery boy. I retired 7 years ago. And like I say, I swore I would never wear a tie again and I would never speak publicly. I've accomplished one of those.
Got a tie if you need one.
No. I honest to God felt it was the noose around my neck for all those years. I can't do it. So I got started in investing in manufactured housing simply by a fluke. I was reading a legal ad in the newspaper, and I was reading about a pending mobile home that was going to be publicly auctioned because the owner had not paid their lot rent. It just didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't figure out why would somebody lose their home just because they didn't pay their lot rent. I just didn't quite get it. So I was curious, and so I went to this lien sale. There was an attorney conducting it. There were other people there, and I'm looking around, and this is in a park that's on a hillside. It faces Mount Rose in Reno. And my real estate background, I'm looking at the view thinking, this is just killer. This is kind of, Now remember, I'd never even been in a mobile home before. And the bidding started like $100, and then it went to $200, and I couldn't grasp this. I just couldn't figure this out. So when it hit $1,000, I'm looking at the view, and I did not come there to bid. I had no intention at all. And I'm looking at the view like this. This is just incredible. And I started bidding. And what do you know? At $2,000, I owned that hunk of junk. And I remember when the crowd dissipated and everybody went away, I remember kind of just staring, thinking, what the hell did I just do? What did I get involved in? And what was really funny is I called my wife. I said, you wouldn't believe what I just did. And I explained it to her, and she said, no, I believe it. And that was the end of the conversation. Okay, so what happens? I don't know anything what to do. I don't know what to do with this thing. So I started to scramble, and I contacted the attorney that was conducting the lien sale. That attorney now provides me tons of business. I think you were talking about relationships and how these things all come back. And his name is Michael Cyrak. He's one of these attorneys that you can talk to him on the phone and he doesn't send you a bill. He's just an incredible guy, absolutely incredible guy. We do a lot of business together. We've become personal friends over the years. And we deal with each other's headaches quite a bit. So anyway, he told me, he said, you got to pay lot rent on that place. And I'm thinking, I got to pay money? And he's like, well, yeah, you're now the owner of that home. You got to pay lot rent. You got to get into it. And oh, by the way, the guy that is in there, you got to get him out. So I'm figuring, how do I evict somebody without a lease, So what I figured I'd do is I'd knock on his door. I knocked on the door. I told him what happened. I said, I kind of bought this place at auction. And he goes, okay, let me tell you the story. He goes, I used to be the maintenance man here. They made me angry, and so I just stopped paying my rent. I'm going to move. I'll move out this Saturday. No big deal. So I thought I lucked out there. I waited until Saturday. I got a locksmith. I got into the place. This is true story. I walked in, and I go, oh, my God. This place was a mess. And this, how things get emblazoned in your mind? I looked over to the left, and I saw a sink, and it looked like chocolate pudding. Oh. And it bubbled. I looked at this place, and I thought, oh my God, I am way over my head. So I contacted the park management. We talked about land rent, so I understood about how the park and how it functioned and everything. They put me in contact with a couple of other people. I got one of the throwaway newspapers and started looking for a handyman real fast to help me this. And when I called the handyman, he showed up in a $40,000 pickup, and I now understand how he afforded that $40,000 pickup. And I thought, he's not going to buy another one, at least not on me. So what happened is I got desperate. I went on the internet, and I looked up mobile homes, mobile home investing, and I realized there's a guy who started in the 60s and 70s. Anybody heard the name Lonnie Scruggs? Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Lonnie is kind of known as the godfather in this business. His books were very simplistic. A lot of his business practices nowadays would be considered unethical, illegal. Lonnie's passed, but in his day and time, you can still buy his stuff, and it provides kind of the foundation of this business. So my point is, you kind of have to look at it, you have to read it, and you have to realize that the way he did things isn't quite the way that we can do things now. But The principle is the same. You buy low, you sell high, and you finance the note. So once I read this, I kind of decided I'm not going to fix this place up. It's a total. I will get the junk out of there. And I put an ad in the paper that next day. And I spent like literally a night reading, and I read Lonnie Scruggs and all sorts of stuff. I put an ad in the paper. It said handyman special, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, $6,500. Seller will finance. So I got calls. My phone was inundated. I was amazed. I knew I had hit on something. I sold it the next day. The guy gave me $2,000, so I got my money back. I financed the remainder. I charged him $395 for closing costs. We added that into the loan. And I was getting $200 a month, which for me, I didn't even know what a promissory note was before. I hadn't gone in a mobile home. And within days, it was like, this is like kind of cool. This is like pretty neat. Anyway, the next week, I'll tell you how hooked I was. And again, my wife knows me. She was going to deliver our son that week. And I had the bug. So I'm looking up repossessions, and I'm looking up to buying another mobile home. And I told her about this place. I said, man, I checked the comps. This place, I can easily get $30,000 for it. I can buy it as a repo. I can pay $10 grand for it. I said, it's like instant money. It's crazy. She goes, please don't do it. Please don't do it. The baby's going to be due. Please don't do it. What do you think I did? Of course I did. You think we're still married? Okay. So. No, I'm not. But we're great friends. So, anyway, I did this over and over and over again. And a lot of times they're like little chip shots. I'd buy a place for $1,000, I'd sell it for $8,000, and I would finance, I'd get a $1,000 down payment, but it gave me another note. I was doing some bigger ones, some $30,000, some $50,000 ones, but the amount of money I was picking up on these mobile homes was it was crazy. So it's kind of like instant money. So it was pretty incredible. And eventually, I retired from Raley's. I realized as an entrepreneur, you never retire. You can't get rid of that. You're born with it. You die with it, just the way it is. So I thought, well, I'll get into this a little more seriously. And I got to the point I got too big, and I started getting legal advice, and I realized I had to get licensed. So I got licensed once the attorney, Michael Cyrek, found that out. It's like, I have a lot of clients for you, because the parks have to use a dealer to sell homes. If you don't live in the home, you have to use a dealer to conduct the sale. And I'm talking strictly state of Nevada now. SAFE Act came around, and I got a letter from Division of Mortgage Lending saying that I had to become a loan originator. I'm like, I'm just a little piddly investor. I mean, please. But I read it, and I fought it because their laws they had doublespeak. They won. I finally had someone tell me that you can't fight this. And I said, but it's personal property. It's not. It says in their books, it says real property. Then came out in the final rule 2013, and they made sure that manufactured housing was all covered in there. They were pretty interesting how they had all the bases covered. So, I want to tell you about when I started getting these payments. The first $200 was pretty cool. Neat, unique. It was kind of neat. I did another deal and got, let's say, $300. And then I did another deal, another $300, and I realized that, this is going to be a life-changing situation. I've trained a lot of investors, and it's the same thing. I've always told them, said, 1 is good, 2 is incredible, 3 is life-changing. Before you know it, you've got an incredible cash flow. So I want to do something that I hope is a little bit fun. I'm going to make a statement, and I want you to show me by raise of hands whether you think it's true or not. So I'll make the statement, I'll say who thinks it's true, and then who thinks it's false. So the first one, I think this entire group is all going to vote the same. Mobile home investing is a glamorous form of investing. True? False. So I'll tell you, and this has happened to me so many times. You're in a social setting. I was with my wife at the time. Now, my wife manages vacation rentals in Waikiki Beach, okay? So she would say what she does, and people are all goo-goo and like, oh, really? Oh, boy. And then they'd ask me what I did. And honest to God, they look at you like you've got some kind of social disease. And they dissipate so quickly, it's like, did I wear my deodorant today? I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. It's really interesting. And it's because people don't understand it. They don't understand about those mobile home things. And it's pretty interesting. I will tell you, though, the other thing, when you ever talk to people about the returns that you're getting, then they look at you like you're a liar. It's pretty interesting. They all have that look on their face. Like, come on, dude, I'm not stupid. Except when somebody who knows it and they've done it, you see the look in their eye. That's the person you're going to be talking to for the rest of the evening, because it's fun. It really is. We start talking about what it does. So, anyway, it's the Rodney Dangerfield of the investment world. It gets no respect. And again, it's because mainstream just doesn't understand it. But that's what creates so many opportunities for people like me. It's pretty cool. Anyway, statement number 2. The SAFE Act put a huge damper on financing of mobile homes. In fact, there's some people who feel that you can no longer finance mobile homes. True?
True.
False. You can finance them. You've got to use a loan originator. Okay? You might be in a state that allows de minimis exemption. Nevada just did that for mobile home parks. Arizona has it.
That's a big word.
Yeah, it's big for me too. I just said it because I heard it. Don't ask me the definition. Anyway, the problem is there is so much risk involved, and the law. When you read the law, you're going to wonder if we're still in America. It's really absurd is kind of the politest word that I can come up with. A lot of the pieces of that law. But if you use a loan originator, the burden falls on that originator and not on you. Same thing when you sell a home in Nevada, a mobile home. You have a dealer conduct the sale. That way the burden shifts onto the dealer. And that's the way the state wants it. They want to hold somebody accountable, and the dealer's an easy target. On the internet that says you absolutely cannot carry paper on mobile homes any longer, that is absolutely false. False, false, false. Still is a great opportunity. It's not the days of the Wild West like it used to be. You know, state of Nevada used to be, if you and I agreed on an interest rate, that's what it was going to be. 99%. We agreed to it. We shook hands. We signed the contract. Obviously, those days are over in predatory lending and all that other good stuff. So, here's statement number 3. Past rental history is a great indicator as to someone's qualifications to finance a mobile home.
True.
Interesting. Okay. What I found out is if they're bad renters, you would think now with the responsibility they own, they're going to be much better. And I went that route. No. It's that behavioral thing. If you don't pay your bills before, you don't pay your bills after. But that's an investment strategy for a lot of people. A lot of people want to get these things back. It's pretty interesting. I work with investors all over the state. So you want to give me that home back? Okay, I'll sell it again. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so here's an interesting one, and I really wish I had pictures. So there's a mobile home for sale. The landowner just bought the property, wants to rent the land only. He wants income from the land. He has no interest in the mobile home. The home is literally 2 single wides that were stuck together. Well, there's quite a few out there. Okay, a double wide you would think, or 2 singles put together, you think there'd be a flat roof, right? No, they were different sizes. Honest to God. So anyway.
Have you seen the teen ones in
Yes,
Silver?
yes, yes. I had a unit once that a bank called me up on, and I went over, and I walked into this one bedroom. I couldn't find a light switch. It's really dark, and there was a hot tub in it with a bunch of clothes in it. I thought, damn, they had their kids sleeping in there. Jeez. And I'm walking around. I go outside looking at the property. I notice there's a garden shed, so I'm looking for the door in the garden shed. There's no door to it. And I thought, damn, that's the second bedroom. And they did. They cut a hole in the wall, they stuck the garden shed, and that's the kid's bedroom. Ugh. Okay, anyway, back to this thing that was stuck together. He already knows me incredibly well. The point is, you know, and it's a good point you bring up, when you look at these things, you got to remember it's not about you. It's about your buyer. And if I remember right the numbers, I think I paid $1,000 for that unit. I sold it for $75. And I financed it, obviously. So that's why I say the returns are crazy. So
These all in park deals?
they can be on land, in park. I look for opportunities. So I really don't care. I have, because I've done this long enough, I've got relationships with parks now. I know who plays, who doesn't, who allows rentals, who doesn't. It takes time, but I tell you, when you work in a park, the relationships the most important is the manager. Absolutely, they will make or break you. They're the ones that if they like you, that's the ones that call you and say, hey, these people are moving out tonight. They'll take $100 for their house. And I'll tell you, I had a home that I sold for $30, I paid for $4, same situation. I met the woman in a casino, had my notary come into the casino. Gave her $4,000 cash, and whoosh, off she goes. I can't explain this
And
sometimes.
almost, it sounds like almost all the time, the down payment covers your all in, almost always.
In a perfect world, I want as much skin in the game as I possibly can get. But when I have the unit with the garden shed, I'm not going to get a lot of dollars. But that's really what I try to do. I try to get my investment back and move forward. Do I do all the time? No. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, no.
So what's his return? You know, we did the financial calculator yesterday. He has all his money back, and then he has this no. What's his what is it? No solution.
No solution.
Infinity return. Yeah. Money out of thin air.
No fees. Do you recap?
I do. I have a guy now that is 40 hour. He's a 1099 guy. He does all my rehab work. I used to have almost 4 people working at one time. I have 1 right now, just because I've got this dialed down where I'm not paying guys to talk and smoke cigarettes and all those other things that, you know. So sometimes, you know, you kind of look at a home and every opportunity is different. You may say this is a rehab. This is not a rehab. This one I can make a lot of money on. This is a handyman special, you know, so it's really, you know, you look at each opportunity. Sometimes you put so much money in, you lose, you're not going to make any money, so you kind of have to marginalize, you know, where your return's going to be. Anyway, back to this unit for two homes stuck together. Do you think I bought it?
Yes,
How much did I pay?
500.
I did. I paid $500.
You split them. Right?
I lived there. It wasn't my kid's room, it was my puppy.
So here's what we did. I sold that place for $8,500 within a day. Okay? And the reason why is because I had people who would call me about homes, and I had already sold them, but I always wrote down their contact information, what they were looking for. And there was one guy who called me and said, look, I want a place on land. This is on a 3rd acre in Sun Valley. I don't care what condition it is because I can fix up anything, but I need a double wide for my family. If you ever come across anything like that, give me a yell. And so I did, and he was ecstatic with this place. Absolutely, totally ecstatic. He actually just paid the place off. But again, talking about contacts, I've probably sold 7 to 8 homes from his family members. So, and I would give him a finder's fee. I'd give him $300 because he'd send it. Because a lot of times I don't advertise my homes. I have a list of people that I just call, and it's a done deal. So back to I just want to say that it's not about you. You would never live in a home like that. I still use that when I work with investors. We drive by that home because I always say, tell me what you think. My wife, when I drove her by it, she goes, oh my God. And that's typically the response when people see this house, because it still is lopsided. It still looks like hell. It looks nice inside. The guy's done a great job. But it's not about you, it's about your buyer, it's about your return. I have a doctor's wife who does this as a part-time hobby, and she's always putting in nice things in her home. And I tell her, if you don't get credit for nice, don't do it. They don't care that that's a copper sink. They want a sink that's functional. They want a home that's functional. So you can put loads and loads and loads of money in these places, and you're not going to get your return. You want to make them nice. You don't want to make them too nice. So here's another one. When you have your purchase cost, your selling price, your down payment, your interest rate, and your monthly payment, can you calculate the rate of return? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. You can calculate it only after that last payment's been made. This happens all the time, and it's probably one of the most critical pieces about investing in mobile home notes. I cannot tell you how many times people have given their homes back to me because they flat don't care. The second home that I bought, that was probably the start of my divorce, okay? I still would have bought it. I paid $10 for that. I sold it for $30. I took $3,000 down. I had payments of like $350 for a month, and the people were in there for probably 6 years. I get a phone call one day, and they said, "Oh, Doug, we moved." "Where'd you move to?" "Moved to Arizona. Husband got a new job." "So what are you doing about the house?" "Well, you can have it back." "Really?" I said, "You have equity. Why would you do that? Just sell it." No, we look at it, we paid our rent, we live there, we're done, we're gone." "You sure?" "Yeah, you can have it back." So I did. I sold it again. That home I sold 3 times. I have some that I've sold 7 or 8 times. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Do you have some other people lose, or do you get full foreclosure? What do you do with that?
It's a repossession is what it is. You want to avoid the court process as much as you possibly can. So what I do is I typically, if someone's, let's say, behind in their payments, I will knock on their door always, because when they see the whites of your eyes, it's pretty impactful. I'm never threatening. I'm never confrontational. I'm always friendly to them. They have a problem. I have a problem. We have to work this out. So I always tell people, you can't live here for free. So if you're not going to make your payment, you got to go. And there's a couple of options for you. You can stay, and I can convert this to a rental. You can fight me, and if you do, I guarantee you that every court cost I have, every cost that I have, I will take you to court. I guarantee you I'm going to get every penny, and I'll attach your wages. You and I are going to be partners for a long time. We don't want to go that route. So anyway, I actually put all the cards on the table. And I have had maybe 2 that I've had to do any type of legal. I have never gone to court, ever. I've always worked it out with the people to get them out of the property. If you make the mistake and get real headstrong and start threatening, then they want to fight. They lose their objectivity, and it becomes a fight. They don't even think, and you don't want to go there. Absolutely not. You want them, in that case, you want them to surrender the property to you. When I do an origination, I have a sheet that I give to people and says, and I tell them to keep it. I said, if you ever have a problem and you cannot make your payment, there's recourse for you. And it says you may want to be, your lender might be able to take it back or sell it. You can sell it to them for some of your equity. But I always give them recourse of what they can do. And the one thing I tell them, one thing you don't do is don't contact your lender. You have got to let them know. You've got to be able to work with them. And they'll work with you. They don't want to lose you as a customer. Okay? So anyway, I want to tell you about one other home. Just talk to you about returns. This is the story about Tom and Tina. I sold a home to Tom. I bought the place for $5. I put another $5 into it. I don't remember the down payment that I got. I did calculate, and I'll go to the end of the story and say, by the time I realized Tom had paid me $45,000 over the course of the years. Tom bought the place. He hooked up with a girlfriend. They lived together for years. And then one day Tom calls me and he said, Doug, I've got terminal cancer. I'm going to give you the home. I just need to stay here until I go in the hospital. And I'm like, well, sell the home, give it to your brother, do whatever. What about Tina? I won't tell you what he said about Tina. Here's a really weird story. He had terminal cancer. Tina had terminal cancer also. Different types of cancer, but partners with cancer. They had a 10-year-old son, and that's one of the first things I asked him. I said, what about Dakota? And he said, well, he's going with so-and-so. When Dakota was born, Tina's girlfriend, and she made a pact. If anything happened to the other would raise the child, and that's what we did, and that's Tina, or Dakota's now with that woman. But anyway, Tom died. And I had this worked out with the family as far as the title. Tina kind of like disappeared, but I know now Tina also died. When I got to the property, I realized Tom had been collecting junk for at least 10 years. This was a half-acre lot. It was full of junk. The house was full of junk, but what I realized is he had added an addition, and I finally realized that's where Tina was living. So Tom was over here and Tina was over there. There was some real animosity between the two of them. It was pretty interesting. He did not want that house to go to her, and he was the only person on title. Anyway, we sold that. I think we advertised it as the county dump, and we sold it for $17,000 because there was no way I was going to pay all those trash fees. And my agent actually sold the home. When the people came into the closing, the guy walks in, his mother walks in, and she goes, you know, we're treasure hunters. I paid $1 for this dress. They were on cloud 9 buying the county dump. It was, and my point is that there's something for everybody. It's not about you, it's about them, and in this situation it worked out very, very well. And I sold the home. I'm carrying the paper one more time. So financially for me, it's been a really, really great thing. So here's the statement. Actually, before I go into that, I do want to say the heartbreaking part of this business is when someone pays their note off. It really hurts. It's like a love that's gone. Because every month for years they're doing this, and then all of a sudden it's over. So, one more statement. During the last real estate crash, mobile home investors continued to receive their cash flow and saw very little negative impact from the poor economy. The cash still came in. People still needed housing. This is at wasn't at the high part of the echelon. It's kind of down here, but people need that kind of housing. I did find out that I still got people into homes. I just had to lower the down payment. So a lot of times it was $1,000. It was less than rent. I would talk to people, tell them that, you know what, this is the benefits of rental and it's the benefits of ownership. And I'll make an exit clause. If you don't ever want to stick around, you can get out of it pretty easy. And the reason why I said that is there was a period of time, I think 2008 and 09, nobody wanted to make long-term decisions, and it was really affecting the business. So I let them make a short-term one. You know, you fit it. Here's one. The internet is a good source to get information about mobile home investing. It is and it isn't. Be very, very careful, especially on deeper pockets.
Bigger pocket.
Bigger pockets, that's what it is. That's what it is. Thank you. Man, there's a lot of people on there that like to voice their opinion, have no idea what they're talking about. So I just want you to say beware. My business cards are on that corner over there. If any of you have questions about mobile home investing, you're more than free to call me. There might be a situation where you hear one thing and you hear another. You're always going to get an honest answer out of me. So, and I don't charge for my time. So, that offer's there for you. So that leads us to question and answer.
Several bunched together. How much are lots selling for in Sun Valley, and what's the rent?
Depends on how you buy your lots, okay? I have a motto is I don't pay retail for anything, okay? And with that motto, I can always buy relatively well. Right now, I can buy, if I can find a seller, it's about around $65,000. They've gone up quite a bit. But if you go through a real estate broker and you buy at the retail level, you're looking about $95,000.
For a lot.
Yeah, for a lot.
Is it accurate?
And it produces about $450 as an average right now, $450 to $500 in lot rent. Okay. Back in the day when nobody was buying, I was buying those lots for $16,000, $17,000. And that's same old thing, you know, when everybody else is telling you don't buy real estate, don't touch it, that's the time to buy it.
Have you ever thought about, or is it even profitable to build a mobile home park with like
Oh.
Tesla going out there and everybody's housing? Is that if you have the land, is it a stupid investment?
Planning, the zoning.
Yeah, you know what? Our communities are not conducive to mobile home parks. My personal opinion, that's going to change with these small houses. I think that's going to change. I think you're going to start seeing, instead of mobile home parks, you're going to start seeing pods of homes. Yeah, I think that's the future, but I think that has to catch on a little bit. It'll take some time. Would I ever own a mobile home park? The returns are incredible, but you got to remember my background. I was with Rayleigh's for 38 years. I had 2,500 employees in my district. Do I want to deal with management and personnel issues? Oh, God. I've had offers, people want me to manage their parks, they want me to manage regions. I'm like, I don't want a job, you don't understand. I really don't,
So you have to be a broker dealer to sell mobile homes, and then if you're selling with like a lot, then that's why you need your salespersons to.
Okay, if you're selling the home and the lot, the home is personal property, and you're selling a lot, you can go through a real estate broker, and that real estate broker through a title company. You don't need to use a manufactured housing dealer. But if you're selling just the mobile home, you've got to use a dealer. You don't have to be one, you've got to use one to transact the sale. So when I say I do closings, I do work with investors, I work with mobile home parks, I do it throughout the state, and I do their closings. They have arranged a sale. I take the components of their sale, I put it in a document form that the state wants, or if there's loan origination involved, I put that all together and then I do a closing.
Since you're a licensed mortgage broker as well, I am too, and it's about it. So then you're just doing everything in-house then, as far as, and
I have a different license than you do. Okay, I have an exempted broker's license. This is really how the government works. When they started this, the qualifications to become a broker, you have to have X amount of years in the lending industry. Well, there's no way they could get any of us in there because I didn't have a background in lending. So they made an exempt brokers category. So it means that I can do mobile home loans. I have to have a broker's license. Of course, I have to pay my fees. But that's what it is. So yours says mortgage broker. Mine says exempted mortgage broker. Pretty interesting, yeah. So anyway, back to the personal property mobile homes. To sell the mobile home, you have to utilize the services of a manufactured housing dealer in the state of Nevada. I can't represent it of the states.
What's a deal? What would, if you get a dealer involved in a sale, what would those fees look like?
In other words, they do the retail sale.
Yeah, if you're selling a mobile home, you have to bring a dealer in because you're not licensed as a dealer. What do they charge?
Okay, in a situation like that, I charge $4.95. If it's a retail sale for investors, it's $3.95. And I'm way below everybody else. That's why I do what I do.
Understood.
A lot of the manufactured housing dealers, they shrunk. They went out of business, and so what they did is they started charging more money. That's a great, and again, my background in the grocery business, I saw what Walmart did to our industry. So what I've done is I've not cut my fees, I started with low fees. And everybody else is here and guaranteed who gets the business, so.
one last question. If you had a lot, like you bought all those lots outside Valley, for example, how do you set it up for a mobile home on as far as septic and things like that? I mean, is there like a certain, how is it different?
I've never done that.
Okay.
What I've done is I've bought mostly the homes that are on the lots. In some cases, I've had homes on the lots and I bought the two of them. I had one that I bought at a tax sale. I bought the home first. I did my research, found out that the lady had passed away. She had no heirs. And I realized that there was a hellacious water bill, so I knew there was a water leak on the property. And then I realized that the property taxes on the real property hadn't been paid. So I watched for it to come to auction, and it did. So truth be told, I ran over to that house. I boarded up all the windows to make it look like a wreck. And then I went to the auction and bought the property. It was my house. I could have boarded it up. So.
What if we want to consider homes in other, I'm from South Carolina, so there's a lot.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, so is there a network of people that you know that I could reach out to and say, here's what I'm looking for to be able to, or not?
There are two gurus in, I think they're South Carolina. And in my opinion, if you go on the internet, you'll find them. They're two guys that work together. There's a guy named Tony Kobach. They're very active there, and they're actually good. There are other gurus that you'll find on YouTube and that type of stuff. And
Well, that's why I think I'll just reach out to you.
those two, yeah, those, and they do seminars all over. And they do boot camps and that type of stuff. And I've read their material, and I always look at it with a jaundiced eye, but I'm pretty impressed with what they put together.
Okay.
So.
All right, great, thank you.
So do you mostly go in and purchase the mobile home on an existing park and pay the lot rent, or do you always want to flip it? Do you always, or do you have both?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, it all depends, okay? So this home that I was joking about from Lake Tahoe, this place, I mean, it's a mess, okay? The park wants me to get involved, and I'm going to do it, but I'm going to put together how it's going to work for me. And the way it's going to work for me is they're not going to charge me lot rent for 6 months. If I can turn that in 2 months, I'll pick up those other 4 months. And I'm going to let them know that that's my plan, because I need to pick it up somewhere. To them, they know that they've got income in 6 months. So it all depends on the particular deal. But again, I'm going to reemphasize your relationship that you have with your park managers will pay you dividends, dividends. So you have a person who, they get behind on their note, they don't pay their lot rent. What is the first thing I do? I go into that office and I pay their lot rent. Good faith. Money well spent. I'll still get it back, I hope. Okay? In most cases I do. But I'll pay that rent, I'll go back to my customer and say, look, we got to work something out, I just paid your rent. You're not my kid. So we have to work something out. You got to pay me back. And I typically use another promissory note that I can take to small claims court if I have to need to attach their wages. So, you got a question?
How long do you carry your paper for? 5, 6 years, 7 years?
It depends. Normally, I let the customer decide. Some people want a low payment, and I don't take any payment other than under the $200 because it's just not enough money for me. Sometimes I want to help people, and they want a low payment over a long period of time. But I also know back here that the longer that note goes, the higher the probability that I'm going to get that home back. Stuff happens. People move. Divorce. Death. I mean, there's all sorts of things. Senior parks. You would think, does that provide a great opportunity? Well, I calculated once the turnover on mortality. It was 17%. There was a 17% turnover every year in that park. And what would happen? Aunt Mary would die. The family would come up. They would go through everything looking for all of her diamonds and everything. When they realized there were no diamonds, what do I do with this thing? And then they call me up because they went to the park. That's where that relationship with the park manager. And the park manager said, look, this guy won't give you much, but he will buy the home. And so I'll buy him for $1,000 or whatever, and then I'll sell the home. Right now, I'm at 11.2 to 11.5. We're allowed prime plus 7.5% on mobile homes. So it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Are you doing these under IRA or anything?
401, I do on some. So when I left Rayleigh's, I converted my 401 to a self-directed, and it allows me cash flow if I need business loans, if I need to float cash. It allows me to buy homes that, let's say, I just want to continue my portfolio for investment. Eventually, I've got to cash out, but I've done that, yeah.
So you deal all in personal property?
I deal in real property, too. So real property is super important, as far as appreciation and part of a portfolio. The mobile homes is the cash flow. So it's kind of like a...
Can you kind of talk about the difference? Because you can have a mobile home on a lot that's personal property. And
Great question.
Converted somehow to real property.
And it's done by putting an 8-point foundation on the home. Putting an 8-point foundation on the home. And there's a process you've got to go through manufactured housing. But what it does allow when you do that allows FHA loans. I mean, there's it's a great business plan. It really is. One of my strategies when I bought these lots is to convert some of these homes to real property. I haven't done it yet, but that was part of my strategy.
So you have to own the lot in order to do that, right?
Correct.
So you'll buy them you'll buy just the home and pay the lot owner, right?
Yeah.
Outside the park.
Yes, yes. So here's another, and this is I bought a place. It needed rehab for, I think it was $7,500. It was a big double wide. This old man kept hanging out, and I was over on the job site while these guys were rehabbing. And this old man would talk, and he was from South Carolina. Anyway, after about a month, we were getting almost done, and he said, "You do a lot of these, huh?" And I said, "Well, yeah, kinda." So he said, "How much are you willing to offer me for that?" I said, "Do you live there?" And he goes, "Well, I own all this land." "Oh, you're James Ross." And he did. He owned all that land. Well, he showed me this home that needed rehab, but I bought it for $500, and I rehabbed it, sold it for $30. That one, that lady was in there for 9 years. I just got it back. And the rental market is so hot right now that I'm using it as a rental, and I'll get a little bit of money, and then I'll turn and I'll sell that home. So relationships are so important. James Ross is also the guy that sold me those 2 doubles that were stuck together.
That's the returns over your period that you've done this.
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea.
10%, 20, 30?
Oh, I have.
Infinity for the most part.
It's incalculable. I don't know.
So I have a problem right now. I bought a note, so I thought, in Pennsylvania, and the house looked like it was attached to land. Well, it happens to be a mobile home. Part of it's attached to land, and part of it is not. So we're in the process of closing, and there's a cloud on title because I need to find the title to the mobile home.
I'm involved in a deal just like this right now.
What do I do? Because the agent, she feels like she has me like over a barrel. And she's like, "Well, I need more money." And I was like, you haven't worked for the money you're getting closing, so I'm not paying anymore. But I don't know, do I hire an attorney? Because this is out of my league.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I did because I'm involved. Similar situation.
Okay.
I get a call from a guy in Silver Springs. Anybody know what Silver Springs is? When you go out there, you think, why does anyone live here?
That's what I said.
Anyway, this guy calls me up and wants to sell me land and home. I asked him how much, and he said $35,000. I swear I never buy in Silver Springs again. Just wouldn't do it. But I drove out there anyway because I want to see the opportunity. I looked at the home. It needs some work. These people used it as a rental. Their son got in trouble. They bought it from their son. They became landlords. They don't like being landlords. They need to get rid of the place. So I started doing my research, the due diligence thing, and I realized that Nevada doesn't have a record of title on this home. So I did a little more research, and I found out that originally in Nevada, they were licensed through the DMV. There was a window of time where you could transfer your title. They never did. They never did. So because I do this, I know how I can get the title. It's going to take me about 5 to 6 months, but I know I can get the title. But I went back to those people and said, you're not going to give me a title on this home. As far as I'm concerned, there is no home. So I'm going to buy this, but I'm going to buy it for the value of the land. And you're going to give me the mobile home because you can't title it. And so my price was $25,000.
Okay.
And it's, I think it's a half-acre lot. 25 is still good. And they agreed, and that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to title that home. I'm going to use it as a rental until I get the title to it. And then I'll sell the home, and I'll collect land rent.
How much are you gonna charge?
Out there, it's going to be about $380. Yeah, it's nice. Nice parcel, nice and flat.
And some friends, you guys know Steve Eckert. Well, anyway, like and I think Jeff Miller did a lot of this, but sometimes they would just give the home away, the mobile home part, just to get the land rent. With you have no overhead.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
land rent.
Yeah, you at least got a return on your land.
So my potential buyer, while I'm fixing this cloud, has agreed to rent the house for $1,200 a month. Because he really, really wants it and he needs to move, and it's in a rural area, and it sits on about 2 acres. And I took a deed in lieu, so I know I'm okay with taking the deed in lieu, but I just don't think when they did the transaction, when they originated the loan, they didn't do it properly. So I'm even reluctant on agreeing to rent to him until I get this taken care of. Would I be okay to rent it?
It depends on, are you a gambler? I wouldn't. I would go back to the original deal. If the home was represented to you as being real property, and that's what you based your price on, then that's what you should be getting. If it's not, then the price goes down.
Well, was it a pool of notes that I bought?
Oh.
I bought the note. I think we've owned it for like almost 4 years.
Okay, then you got to make lemonade out of it.
Put some more mobiles on.
What's the county, do you know?
No, I don't know what
Do
county.
you know what city? Obviously, no.
No, I just know it's in Pennsylvania.
Gotcha, because it varies drastically.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I would find out if you need to convert to real property, what the process is. I don't know in that jurisdiction. But I would start looking at the different opportunities of what you have there.
Okay.
If you have a tenant, I mean, when you're making money from the tenant, it really doesn't matter. You've got time at least where you can get this thing taken care of.
Right. Okay. Thank
So,
What are the good areas to invest in? You invest in currently around here?
I currently am in Reno. I do a little bit in Carson City, but I am so busy that I have to choose, where I'm at. I'll tell you, anybody from Las Vegas here?
I live there part-time.
Oh, man, you want to talk about opportunity? Las Vegas. Las Vegas. It is just... Las Vegas has obviously a real transient, you've got lots of buyers, lots of people want to get rid of their homes just to get out because they want to leave. There's a lot of parks with empty houses they give away to investors. There's tons of opportunity there, tons. If my sons didn't live in Reno, I would probably have moved there already because there is so much opportunity. I'm putting in a retail office there, and I've already got people who are going to work for me, which will open up that opportunity to buy properties down there. But there's a ton of opportunity. Still a lot here.
You said you didn't want people working for you no more.
If they're 1099 agents that I don't have to babysit, and they're commissioned, I'm okay with it.
How do you get the value of just a mobile home? If you're buying one and you're paying lot rent, how do you know how much to evaluate?
To buy?
That mobile home you have to buy.
Oh,
Experience.
that's a great question. I should have covered it, in all honesty. I don't negotiate with anybody. What I do, when someone calls me up and says, I want to sell my mobile home, what I say to them is, okay, let me tell you how I do things. I don't negotiate because I always feel somebody gets taken advantage of. You have one shot with me. So what you got to do is give me the price. Don't play any games. Give me the lowest price that you're willing to sell your home for. And if I can do it, we got a deal. I'll pay you cash. I'll do it today. If not, I'm not going to waste my time. I probably won't even call you back. You got one shot. So by doing that, you would not believe how cheap people sell homes. The lady that I met in the casino, that was her price. She says, I want $4,000. And I knew the location. I didn't even have to look at it. I knew it was a great deal. So I did. That happens all the time. I would be embarrassed to offer the prices that I pay on some of these homes. And you get people that will, the market's selling for around $30,000, and they'll say, well, I want $28,000. They think they're doing you a favor. You're going to make $2,000. I just say I don't buy at discounted retail. I buy at wholesale. And the value to you is that you have a ready buyer. It's cash. It's quick, fast, and easy. I'm a licensed dealer, so we can do everything legit. And that's how that. But that's a really, really great question because if I negotiated, I'd be paying a lot more. I'd think I was getting good deals. No, because the stuff that comes back to me, just crazy.
Do you have just a form that you, a set form, like when you sell one, that is a package deal? I mean, I think I'm probably doing it incorrectly, no doubt.
Are you in Nevada?
I just,
She's in Wyoming.
Wyoming. Okay. I don't know because the laws change, okay? So what I do is I have an information sheet that my investors fill out. They send to me. I use mandate if it's a sale. I use mandated forms from the state of Nevada. It's on their website. They are mandated. So I would contact their manufactured housing and ask them specifically what they want, because every state's different.
Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
Was that really valuable? Okay, let's just take this, we're gonna have a potty break and then come back at it with Sherry Hill.
No.
So you, but before you leave, here's the next step, and stay up here, Doug. Okay, he bought a home for $1,000, and he didn't really touch it, and he sold it for $8,000 and got $1,000 down. Now he's got a $7,000 note, paying him, let's call it $300 a month. Isn't that like amazing infinity return to him, right? But if Doug goes, I'm going to sell this note, or discounted note business. Which one of you wants to pay? And the face rate's 11.5. That's pretty decent if you're a passive investor. Who wants to give him par? Who wants to give him $7,000 for a $7,000 note?
Well, you typically don't, because they know what I paid.
Okay, all the people who said yes, why would you do that?
I like cash flow.
Cash flow, but okay, but and you're in Nevada.
Texas.
You're in Nevada.
I'm part-time.
Okay, yeah, you're in Texas. No, but the thing is, there's going to be so much headache, and then there's space rent. You have a second lien position. Would you really pay par? That's the cash value. The quick cash value of this home is $1,000. So if you have trouble with that note, and you need to just get out of it to avoid paying space rent, you're going to drop it for $1,000.
I buy the first few, couple of years.
Partial. Look,
Leave him
even
in second, so he's.
so, he has some skin in the game, and he's local. He's boots on the ground. He's the one with the relationship. You're not. Unless you have the relationship with the park directly, this is a big, big gamble. And I've taken this seminar, and I don't buy out of state, not in my backyard, mobile home paper anymore. It doesn't mean I haven't done well on some of them, but two of them have, Walter was talking about the little scar. It's just not worth it. It's better to originate. So I wouldn't even, you know what? At the best, I'd pay him 50 cents.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah.
At the best, I'd pay him 50 cents on the dollar. It doesn't matter what the calculator said, oh, you're making 112% return. Who cares? It's only $3,500. It's not, we're not talking massive amounts of money. Now, it's really great for him. Just be careful if you're going, ooh, that paper looks sexy. Think about how many times he's taken some of these things back. And do you want to be covering space rent? You know, because if that park manager doesn't like you, doesn't know you, they will strip you dry. Because they don't have to approve someone for your park. They'll just keep soaking you for the space rent until it doesn't make sense anymore.
Great
Gene?
point.
I had 6 of them in a rather major park there for Sun Homes Community, and somebody got a hair, and I couldn't sell any of those things, and they would have to approve my buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were coming into the park, understandable, but what they would do with my buyers that I brought them in because it was good, they would sell them a brand new one.
Yeah, sell them something
And
else.
take my buyers, and I still had to pay lot rent.
So they'll just soak you dry. If they want the house, they're going to get it from you. Because somehow you'll never manage to get a buyer approved, and pretty soon you'll just give it to them to quit paying lot rent.
Right.
Right, so it's a really relationship dependent play.
I had a investor in Las Vegas, the same thing happened to. And there's some parks that I won't even touch, I don't invest in. Just because of situations like that, you get a rogue manager that just, they'll kill you. But anyway, that investor eventually went to manufactured housing because it was so, the collusion that was going on was so overt. And manufactured housing's got a lot of teeth now, and they will investigate this kind of stuff. And what do you know? They found a approved buyer really quick. It was amazing.
Have you ever had parks where you've had a good relationship and the management changed and the relationship got bad?
Huh?
Because I know they've changed managers like dirty underwear on a lot of them.
It happens. It happens. I had there is one park in Reno that I have seen just absolutely destroyed over the years, and it's because of the manager. And it's an older guy that owns the place. He doesn't care. He's got tons of money, and as long as he's got money coming in, he just doesn't care. Well, this manager, it's her little kingdom, and she has destroyed the park. The residents are held hostage. How they haven't shot her by now, I don't know. I'm honest to God, but it happens. So on those kind of situations, there's way too much opportunity. I just leave and go somewhere else. That's what I do.
One more thing. I've done the park thing, but I really like land home. So even when you end up with something without a title, that's actually juicy to me because all I've got to do is file for, I'm in Indiana. I file for a lost title, I file for a new title claim or some other kind of different wording and stuff, but you can actually get a title.
So it's a negotiating piece.
You have to take and go through the court system and advertise it in the newspaper, and it's about $500. And then they say, okay, there's nobody to claim this, and they DMV writes you back a title.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Pretty cool.
let's be sure to get one of Doug's cards. That is super generous. He is really busy, and when with all that cash flow that he has, when he's not busy, he disappears for like 2 weeks at a time. I don't know what he does or where he goes, but he has a really nice lifestyle. That's all I'm gonna say. So if he says I'll take your call, that is really generous. Grab his card. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.